Hey guys, welcome back to another Saber showcase, and today we're going to be looking at the Allegiant from Electrum Sabercrafts. And before I go into the measurements, I would just like to say what comes in the box when you order one of these, a very well packaged box I might add. You will receive your printed instructions, which are super helpful, don't lose these. A little baggie, which comes with the charging cable and 2 Allen wrenches to get into the Saber itself, and if you so choose, a blade straight from them. And just for context, this is a 32-inch heavy wall dueling blade, and it is not NeoPixel, it's just a standard blade. Now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and just dive straight into the measurements. So now that we have this nice close-up shot here, I just want to get down to the nitty-gritty of exactly what this saber is. It's of course the Electrum Sabercrafts Allegiant, but just in case you guys were curious, the accents on this are gold. This switch plate here, which is a touchscreen, is the gold white wayfinder, which was an extra $10. On the back here is a gold CoverTech wheel, which I believe was an extra $15. And it was left completely pristine, so no weathering of any kind. Any nicks and dings that you see on this are probably because I dropped it on my big toe. But let's go ahead and just measure this up and see what it is. Got my tape measure ready. Now from tip to tip, it is almost a little over 12 inches, a little over a foot, but let's round down. Let's round down and call that just 12 inches even. Now, one thing I really like about this saber is that it is super easy to get into, because you can just twist this here, twist the pommel, pops right off nice and smooth, and the chassis pops out here with the speaker system all the way at the end, and it is very tight and well put together, nice and clean. And right over here in this particular hole, I'm going to zoom in just if I can. Sorry, I don't have my cameraman handy, just myself today. There's the port where you can charge it, super easy, and then over here is a switch. You need a fingernail to get in there because it's, well, not so much hidden, but just put at the back. Oh. And the saber flickers on when you turn it on, which is handy. And this is a little touchpad. I know I turned you on. You didn't have to tell me again. It has an ignition turning on sound. Of course, I forgot that it had that. So when you press here, actually, I would like to point out that you can alter how you turn it on, which of these 3 little buttons there you can press. But for me, I just have it set for bottom is ignition and top is to turn off and middle is for the effects. I'm not going to do that here. I'll do that later when I show you what the saber looks like ignited in the dark. But it is handy that these lights will turn on. I said I wouldn't turn it on and then I pressed it like a big idiot. It's hard to tell, but these light up when you do press them, which is super handy. Now, I mentioned that 2 Allen wrenches came in the little baggie with the charge. One of them is smaller than the other, and I'm not sure if you'll receive both of these with every Electrum saber. It might just be mine, because I was trying to figure out why would they give me a bigger one, and I'm pretty sure it is so that I can remove the bunny ears. This pops right into the top bunny ear zone, which is super cool. I'm not going to take it off just because it's this saber. I want to keep it as nice and pristine as I got it, and I feel like if I pop that out, it might be a little loose, or I might put it in wrong. I don't want to mess with it. Now the smaller one is much easier to figure out. It is here for the retention screw. The retention screw, of course, holds in the blade that came with the saber. Super easy to pop out. It is actually almost too easy to pop it out, so let's turn that back in there. You barely have to put it out. You barely have to put it in. It's smooth going in and out. It feels secure, which is nice. It's really good. I'll hold it up to the camera just to get some more shots here. It's just a standard LED in there. I hope the camera can autofocus again. I apologize. I forgot my cameraman today. I'm joking, of course. I can't afford a cameraman. But isn't that gorgeous? Just pristine, nice and clean. Good stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what it looks like ignited in the dark, and that's going to be fun. So we're going to be using the blade that came with this saber, and I will say before we even dive into that, the blade is great. If you guys are looking for a high quality blade, I don't know about Electrum's NeoPixel because this is, again, LED. I can only speak on the quality of their standard non-NeoPixel blades, but the blade that came with this saber, the heavy dueling blade, is excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. I recommended that blade to someone else on the subreddit shortly after purchasing this because they sent me a private message asking about it. I posted a picture of some of these sabers, and honestly, Electrum's blades are really good. So if you guys are looking for some good, affordable blades, Electrum's blades are good. So let's go ahead and ignite this and see what it looks like in the dark. Here we are in the darkest section of my house, and as I ignite the saber, I just want to point out one thing, and that's that what a camera lens can see and what the human eye can see are two completely different things. So what you're seeing is probably the blade is a lot more white with a bit of blue around it. And I just want to say the blue that you're seeing on screen is what the blade actually looks like to my eyes. This whole blade is a beautiful blue color, whereas on the lens it's a little more white inside of. Just so you guys understand, there is a difference between what you would be seeing if you had this and what you can actually see in a video. But swing this around in frame, because it's hard to get all of it in frame. Looks nice, doesn't it? Clash is a lot easier to see on the wall than it is on the blade. It's got good response. I have it set to the smooth setting in the app. There's a bunch of different settings, and I recommend using the smooth just because it's nice and responsive. And the blade, honestly, despite being a dueling blade and being extra thick, it still looks really beautiful. So again, I would recommend the blade because I think it looks great. The flash on clash isn't bad. Sound effects could maybe be a little better, but the hum as you swing, really, really good. So I'm going to go ahead and shut the light off here. So before I talk about the saber itself, I would like to talk, of course, about the company that made the saber. I generally think that as a consumer, you guys should know a little bit about who you're purchasing your lightsaber from. Now, Electrum Sabercrafts is, a saber company. It's not a one-guy operation. So it does come with that degree of professionalism. Their website is very well put together. Ordering from it, super straightforward, super convenient. You can at any time see exactly what it is you ordered, which was helpful for me while making this video. So I was able to, see it's been a little while since I ordered it, of course, because I like to have some time with the sabers to really play around with them. I was able to see exactly what I chose for the lights in the saber, all of that. The website is good, is what I'm getting at. The staff themselves, they're all super helpful for what I can see. Their customer service, I've heard from everyone, is excellent. Now, I did not need to use it, and I wasn't going to make up a problem to bother them. But from every source I could find, they seem to be incredibly helpful. And don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that their employees are perusing the subreddit r/lightsabers. I think one of them might even be a mod. I'm not sure. I don't think that has any sort of bias over Electrum in the subreddit itself. But the reason I bring it up is that if you have any sort of questions about your saber, I've seen their employees just straight up answer questions on the subreddit, which is super cool, really, really helpful. These guys are darling, is what I'm getting at. They're really cool guys. And gals. The people working on these sabers are nice, is what I'm getting at. So if you're worried that you're giving them quite a bit of money, which you are, lightsabers are expensive, I wouldn't be afraid, just because, like I said, extremely professional, no sort of problems while ordering, nothing was wrong with delivery, everything was packaged super well. Honestly, Electrum as a company is really cool. They're always innovating on their products, so I don't really have any complaints about them from a company perspective, and I just think that's really important to know. So what are my final thoughts on this saber? Are there any sort of weird quirks that I should probably let you guys know about? Yes, there are. It's an Electrum saber. They have quirks. Don't get me wrong. It's an excellent saber. I want to make this very clear to you. This saber is excellent. It's lovely. It's darling. You're not going to hate it just because of the little quirks that I'm going to bring up. That's why I call them quirks, because they're not so much problems as much as they are quirks, and it is something that can sort of be used as a example for all sabers because they all have the same internals and they all have the same quirks because of those internals. You can't really talk about an Electrum Saber without talking about their app. Now, Electrum has a really neat thing that no other company really uses. I'm pretty sure this app is proprietary, actually. I think it belongs just to Electrum. It's a great app. You turn it on, it scans for the saber, and then you can change things about it on the fly. It's amazing. It's honestly really cool. I have a lot of sabers at this point, and it's really annoying to take out an Allen wrench, open up the saber, pull out an SD card, plug it into a computer, fiddle with the sounds, plug it back into the saber, figure out that the volume or like some weird setting isn't right, plug it back into the computer, fiddle around with it for like 3 hours. It's annoying. Electrum has taken out a lot of that frustration because you can use their app to do basically everything just right on the fly. But that's one of the quirks. It's one of the advantages of the company, but it's one of the quirks because the app is a little busted. Now, I'm willing to say that it's the software. It's not the hardware. I don't think that it is the electronics in the saber that causes these quirks because they are constantly innovating, which is great. This app is updated a lot, which is great. It's just that it's not perfect, and you need to understand that what you're purchasing is not something that is perfect. It's something that is convenient and comes with a lot of perks that other sabers don't have. What I mean by it not working is that you'll tell the saber, hey, make yourself blue, and it'll say, okay, and then turn blue, but then flicker, and you're like, I didn't tell you to flicker, big guy, and he'll be like, but what if I do, though? So there's just weird problems. There's nothing that really makes the saber unusable, of course, because if you just turn it off and then turn it back on, it's blue and not flickering anymore. Like, these problems are so strange and weird. They're so funny and amusing in how weird they are. And maybe this is just me. Maybe I'm out of my mind, but I've seen other people say that Electrum Sabers have some quirks like this, and it's interesting. I don't know of any other saber that really has quirks quite like this because no other saber company is using an app like this. On the flip side, the app is great. It's super convenient. It's pretty easy to use. All the settings are fairly easy to use. I say fairly because this saber here is not a NeoPixel saber, meaning that the LED that powers on and then illuminates the blade is within the hilt itself in this particular model. Now, that's a bit of an issue because the app doesn't have those things labeled. So settings that would only apply in the app to a NeoPixel blade they don't work. They don't do anything, but they're still there. I don't think there's any way for the app to differentiate between a NeoPixel saber and a regular saber at this time. I would like to stress that at this time. Maybe in the future they'll add that in. So keep in mind if you're purchasing one that's not top of the line with all the fancy NeoPixel electronics inside, you're going to have a few settings that are just worthless. It's not broken. They just don't do anything because you don't have the electronics to do it. There's one other thing that I want to talk about with this saber. It is the lightest saber that I own by a lot. It is lighter than my phone. And that's weird. In Star Wars, the blades are weightless. The lightsaber blade itself is plasma. It doesn't have a weight, okay? But in the real world, these do. And when you have one of these in a hilt like this, you want it to have a little bit of weight because the weight in the hilt will trick your brain into forgetting that this has a weight to it, and it makes it feel more realistic. Now, because this, God, when I hold them both together, this one is just barely heavier than the blade, but it's honestly so light that they feel almost identical. And that's weird. It's really weird. It's not so much a problem as much as it is another quirk of this darling little company. I really do love Electrum. I think they're super cool. I love what they're doing. The app itself is so innovative and cool. It's so weird. They're so strange. I do want to preface, when I say it's light, I don't mean that to mean it's cheap. This thing is sturdy, it is strong. I don't think it's going to break at any moment, but it's light. It's like a feather. When I hold it with the blade in, it doesn't feel right because this is the same weight as the blade. And that's weird. It doesn't trick my brain, so I don't think it's quite a lightsaber. I don't know if that's a problem. I wouldn't say it is. I think it's a thing unique to me. I think it has its advantages, right? So if you're going to duel, maybe it feels a little weird, but if you're going to cosplay, this thing is great. I love cosplaying. I'll cosplay in 40 pounds of like pauldrons and a big coat and like a bandolier of pistols. You know, I'll cosplay in a lot of things. And one less heavy object is cool. If I'm going to be swinging this off my belt, having it be as light as possible is super cool. That's great. I love that. So it does have its uses there. It just feels weird when you're physically wielding it around in your house at 3 a.m. because you got nothing better to do. So I do have one last closing thought about this saber. Who is it for? I do like to say that at the end of a video like this because I do these because I want to be helpful to people who are trying to buy sabers like I am. I think that sort of information is useful to you. Who is this for, right? Who is Electrum for? It's an interesting question to ask because at the end of the day, they could really just be for anybody. The only thing they couldn't be for is people who are looking for a replica. If you're looking for an exact replica of Luke's saber, you're not really going to find it with Electrum. You're going to find one of these, which is a super interesting and innovative and unique way of a saber functioning. I can't think of any other lightsaber company that uses these little touch screens here. I can't think of any other lightsaber company that's using a proprietary app as of making this video now that works as well as this one does. I mean, it's quirky as I mentioned, but it still works at the end of the day. So really, I mean, it could be really good as your first saber, quite honestly. It skips a lot of the hassle. You don't have to learn how to get into the micro SD card and get a card reader and plug it into your computer and do all of that. You don't have to learn a lot of the maintenance that a saber needs because this thing sort of does it for you with the app, and it's just so easy to use. And also, if you're going to use it for a costume, you know, like I mentioned, it's super light, and that's really handy. And I will say this, Star Wars is old. It's old. I'm not old. I'm 25, but Star Wars is way older than me. And there's a lot of people who love Star Wars who are much older than me. People who are perhaps in their 60s and have gone to see every single Star Wars premiere in theaters. And a saber like this, for someone who's older and is maybe not very tech savvy, as long as they have a phone, they can use this saber and play around with it and customize it. And I think that's really cool. It's really good as a gift, really good as a saber to someone who maybe isn't sure if they're ready to go into the saber community. And if you don't pay for all the extra bells and whistles like I did, like I got a beautiful little switch box here that cost a couple extra dollars. I got a cover tech wheel that cost a bit more. I think the blade itself cost a little bit more too, just because it's heavy grade. You're not going to be paying too much compared to some of the other premium brands. I mean, this thing is stuffed with electronics. I've bought hilts that are completely empty for the same cost of the whole package that I have here, including the blade. So it's not the most expensive. I think Electrum is really good if you don't have the most money, but you want a really good product, a solid product that's, I shouldn't say top of the line. You know, top of the line would be, from a company at least, would be something like Vader's Vault, but then you're going to be paying top dollar. This you're paying, you know, not that much, which is good comparatively. So if you are someone who doesn't have the most money in the world, but you are really convinced that you're going to love lightsabers, this is a good company to dive into. This is a good saber to get. I think it's a beauty. It feels really great to hold in the hand. It's just good. It's just good, you know? It's maybe not for me, but I can see it for other people, you know? And why do I say that? Why is it not for me? Why do I even have it? That's kind of how I want to end the video, because I would like to point out this isn't my lightsaber. I don't know, if you guys could take just a quick second, go into the comments section and type happy birthday, John. It's my dad's birthday in a few days. By the time this video is up, his birthday will have passed by a couple days, but it's going to be his birthday, and as a surprise to him, I'm going to show up at his house and present him with this lightsaber. He's an older gentleman who has seen every single Star Wars as it premiered in the theaters. He loves it. He thinks Star Wars is super cool, and I think he'll think this is super cool. It's not quite for me. It's not weathered enough. It's not ugly enough. I like my sabers to look ugly. But this is beautiful, nice and clean, and I think my dad will love it. So happy birthday, John. I love you a whole lot. If you guys could take a moment to wish him a happy birthday too, I'd really appreciate it. If not, if you could leave a like on the video or maybe subscribe if you want to see some more lightsaber stuff coming soon, or watch me live stream video games. That's primarily what I do on the channel. But I hope this video was helpful to you, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.